Click on the subscribe button to subscribe to our channel, like and share this video, and engage in our comments. I wasn't expecting much from the Brazil trip, if I'm being honest. Work conferences had become predictable. Same stale hotel coffee, same recycled keynotes, same awkward badge scanning conversations. I'd been to enough of them to know how it usually played out. Fly in, smile through panels, sleep poorly, fly out. But this one was different. It was in Rio, for one. The air alone felt different, warm, alive, and humming with something I couldn't name. The hotel overlooked the ocean, and every morning I watched waves roll in as I sipped coffee alone on the balcony. I was supposed to be representing my firm in London, making connections, attending workshops. I did all of that. But my mind wandered more than it should have. I found myself pausing longer at sunsets, holding eye contact a beat too long with strangers in elevators. I blamed the jet lag. And then I met him. His name was Amadu. He was from Senegal, there for a presentation on sustainable trade initiatives. I don't know what caught my attention first. His voice, low and calm with a French-African lilt, or the way he carried himself, relaxed but grounded, like he saw straight through the fluff of the conference. He wore soft linen shirts and didn't check his phone every 2 seconds. He had a quiet smile that didn't feel performative. We were introduced during a coffee break, and it started off polite enough. Work, where we were from, how long we'd be staying. But then it lingered. We both drifted from our groups, not consciously, just naturally. I remember laughing at something he said, not because it was that funny, but because I wanted to keep looking at him. I could feel the difference right away. Something was there, just under the surface. Unspoken, but undeniable. That evening there was a mixer on the rooftop bar. Everyone was loosening up after the day's sessions, wine flowing freely, the city lights flickering below us. I'd planned to show my face and leave early, maybe ring my husband before bed. But when I saw Amadu standing at the edge of the terrace, alone, looking out over the ocean like it was a painting, I walked over. He turned when I approached and smiled, warm and surprised. We talked again. This time longer. About travel, home, how the city felt like a dream. He told me stories about Dakar, his grandmother's cooking, the smell of morning bread on the streets, the music. I told him about rainy Sundays in Brighton, how I missed the sea. At some point, we stopped pretending it was a networking conversation. He asked gently if I wanted to walk. I said yes before I thought about what I was saying. We left the party quietly. The elevator ride down was silent, heavy with something new. We stepped out into the humid night, the city alive around us, and began to walk aimlessly along the beachfront. I could feel the tension building in the spaces between our words. I noticed everything, the way his hand brushed against mine accidentally and didn't pull away quickly, the way our shoulders touched now and then, and neither of us flinched. And I kept thinking, this is just a walk, nothing more. But I knew better. We ended up sitting on a bench, the ocean stretched wide in front of us. He asked me softly if I missed home. I nodded, then shook my head. I think I miss who I am when I'm not there, I said. He looked at me a long time. I know what you mean. I should have gone back to the hotel then. I should have called it a night. But I didn't. I stayed. And in that moment, I didn't want to leave. I don't remember what time we got back to the hotel. The streets were quieter, the sea breeze cooler, the kind that clung to your skin like memory. We hadn't done anything, no touching, no lines crossed, but somehow it already felt like too much. And yet, not enough. As we stepped into the hotel lobby, the lights dimmed for the late hour. I expected that awkward shift, that moment when two adults suddenly remember where they are, who they are, and what's at stake. But it didn't happen. Amadu looked over at me like he was waiting to see what I'd do. I looked right back. I should head up, I said. He nodded, but slowly. I'll walk you to the elevator. I knew he didn't need to, but I didn't stop him either. The elevator doors slid open and we stepped in. Just the two of us. The silence felt charged now, humming. I stood on one side of the small space. He stayed on the other, but barely. I could feel his presence like warmth on my skin. I caught his reflection in the mirror on the wall behind us, and the way his eyes kept flicking toward me and back again, like he didn't trust himself to stare. We reached my floor. I paused, waiting for the doors to open. They did, eventually, far too slow. I stepped out, and he followed, just a step behind. I turned around, not knowing if I wanted him to stop or come closer. I don't know what my face looked like in that moment, but it must have said enough. He stopped, right there in the hallway. "Good night, Claire," he said. There was something different about how he said my name. Soft, but deliberate, like he was saying it for the first time and the last time all at once. "Good night, Amadu," I replied, but I didn't turn around right away. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in the massive hotel bed, still in my conference dress, the soft hum of the air conditioning filling the room like a fog. I kept going over everything, the walk, the way he looked at me, the feeling in the elevator. It wasn't physical yet, but it didn't have to be. That tension, that sense of something just about to happen, it was more consuming than anything else. The next morning, I felt it all over again. That flutter in my chest when I saw him across the room during the panel sessions. That pull. We kept it professional. Nods, smiles, brief glances that didn't linger. But something had shifted. That afternoon, I found myself alone in the lounge area near the pool, notebook in hand, pretending to work on something. I wasn't. I was waiting. Not consciously. Not openly. But part of me was hoping he'd show up. And he did. He didn't say anything at first. Just pulled out a chair beside me and sat down, setting a bottle of water on the table between us. I looked up, heart catching in my throat for a second. He wore a plain white t-shirt and loose trousers, casual, effortless, dangerous. "You okay?" he asked, looking at me, not through me, but right into me. "I'm fine," I said, but my voice sounded thinner than usual. "Didn't see you at the morning panels," he said. I shrugged. Needed air. He nodded, as if he understood completely. Then we both went quiet. "I'm married," I said suddenly, without thinking. The words just came out, raw and real. "I know," he said, still calm, still watching me. "I am too." It hit me in a strange way. I hadn't expected that. I thought it would make me feel guilty, or maybe relieved, but instead, it just made the moment heavier, more complicated, more real. "I'm not sure what we're doing," I whispered. "Neither am I," he said, "but I know it's not nothing." There it was, the truth, finally said aloud. We sat there, two married people, thousands of miles from their spouses, connected by something invisible and electric. We didn't touch. We didn't lean in. But that conversation, that moment, it was a different kind of intimacy, the kind that sneaks up on you and buries itself deep. He walked me back to my room again that night. We stood outside the door longer this time. I turned the key, pushed the handle, but didn't open it. We didn't speak. We just stood, inches apart. I could feel his breath. I could smell the faint scent of cologne and warm skin. I wanted him to lean in. I wanted him to go away. I didn't know which part of me I was supposed to listen to. Then I said something I hadn't planned on saying. "Do you want to come in?" He looked at me like I'd just given him something he didn't know he needed. But then, he hesitated. "Do you want me to?" he asked. I didn't answer. And somehow that silence felt louder than anything I could have said. I don't know why I left the door slightly open after walking in. Maybe I wanted him to follow me. Maybe I wanted to feel in control. Or maybe I just didn't want to be alone with my thoughts again. But he didn't come in. Not at first. I walked toward the window, staring out at the sparkling city below. The buzz of Brazil at night. Music in the distance. People dancing somewhere. I stood there a long while, hearing nothing but my heartbeat in my ears. Then, softly, a knock. Not loud, not rushed, just intentional. I didn't move. I let it knock again. Once. Twice. Then I turned around and opened the door. There he was, Amadu, standing like he'd rehearsed this moment and still didn't know what to do with it. I didn't want to assume, he said. You're not. He stepped inside. The door clicked shut behind him. I walked back to the window. He stayed by the door, like a line had been drawn between us, and neither of us quite dared to cross it. We didn't speak. The room was dim, just the bedside lamp on. The space between us was thick. I could feel the tension like it was wrapping itself around my throat. I sat on the edge of the bed, brushing my hair behind my ear. My hands were shaking slightly. I didn't want him to see it. Claire, he said, and something about the way he said my name made me close my eyes. I know, I whispered. We're not doing anything. He nodded slowly. I just wanted to be near you, that's all. I let that hang in the air. There was no judgment in his voice, no pressure, just a confession, quiet and honest. And that's what undid me. Because wanting someone, being near someone without touching them, that's sometimes more dangerous than the act itself. He walked to the other side of the room, as if trying to give me space and erase the pull between us. But I felt it anyway. His presence was a gravity, and I was tired of resisting it. So I asked something I never thought I'd ask. What are you thinking right now? He turned. That this is probably the worst possible idea, and that I'll think about this night for the rest of my life, no matter what happens. I stood up. We didn't rush anything. We didn't even move closer at first. We just looked at each other. Really looked. My chest rose and fell. His jaw clenched like he was holding back something powerful. I walked toward him, slowly, step by step. He didn't move. Then we were standing face to face, inches apart. I reached out just to touch his wrist. Nothing bold, just skin on skin. The moment I did, it was like lightning through both of us. He let out a breath, soft, shaky, and I felt his fingers barely graze my side, just enough to make me feel everything. But we didn't kiss. We didn't take it that far. We just stood there, touching hands, breathing the same air, so close I could feel his heartbeat match mine. And then I heard it. The phone, my hotel phone, ringing, shrill and sudden. We both froze. I stepped away, startled, flustered. It rang again. I walked to it, confused, trying to calm my shaking hands. Hello? It was the front desk. A message for me. Nothing urgent, just a scheduled reminder about our shuttle time in the morning. But it shattered the moment. I turned around, and Amadu was staring at me like the spell had broken. I should go, he said. I didn't answer. I wanted to stop him, but I didn't. He walked to the door, opened it halfway, and then paused. I don't regret coming in, he said, even if I should. And then he was gone, leaving the door open behind him, leaving me wide open. I didn't sleep that night. I tried, I really did. But every time I closed my eyes, I could feel him, his breath near mine, his hands barely on me, that unbearable restraint that had taken everything I had to mirror. And the worst part? I didn't regret any of it. I was lying to myself if I said I didn't want him to come back. Morning light crept into the room, soft and gold. The city buzzed to life beyond the glass, but I didn't move from the bed. I replayed every second of the night before, like a movie I couldn't pause. My phone vibrated. One message. Conference wrap-up at 10. Would like to say goodbye before the shuttle. A. Goodbye. My stomach twisted. I got dressed slowly. More effort went into my outfit than it should have. I told myself it didn't matter, that I was just being polite, but my reflection in the mirror said otherwise. I got to the conference hall late, on purpose. I didn't want to run into him too early. I wasn't ready. Not yet. But fate has a way of mocking hesitation. Because the moment I stepped inside, there he was. Amadu, by the windows talking to one of the coordinators. His smile was casual, warm, and not for me. And that cut deeper than I expected. He hadn't seen me yet. And for a moment, I just watched him, studied him, every quiet, thoughtful detail. Then our eyes met. He excused himself from the conversation and walked over, slow and steady, not hesitant, just deliberate. Hi, I said, too softly. Hey. We didn't hug. We didn't touch. We just stood there, pretending to be casual in a sea of people. But everything in my body screamed to pull him aside and ask, what now? What are we supposed to do with all of this? You leaving soon? He asked. In a few hours? Same. There was a silence between us. Not awkward, just heavy, charged. Then he leaned in, his voice low. Can I talk to you? Somewhere quieter? I nodded without thinking. We slipped out of the hall, found a side corridor near the elevators. It was quiet there, empty, cold marble underfoot and warm tension between us. I didn't sleep, he said. Me either. He looked at me like he wanted to say something more, like he was searching for the words that would make sense of what had happened, what hadn't happened, and what still might. Then, quietly, he said, Claire, I wanted to. Every part of me wanted to last night. I swallowed hard. I know. I still do. He reached out, touched my hand. Just that. But it was enough to break something inside me. I stepped closer, barely breathing. I've never felt like this, I whispered. Not with someone I barely know. You do know me, he said, and I know you. I saw it in your eyes the moment we met. I could feel his breath now. His hand brushed my hip. My heart slammed against my ribs. If we do this, I said, there's no going back. His gaze locked on mine. I know. Then, just as his lips hovered a breath from mine, a voice from behind us. Claire? I turned instantly. It was my boss. He looked between us, eyes narrowing, face unreadable. I've been looking for you, he said slowly. The shuttle's leaving early. We need to go. Now. I stepped back from Amadu like I'd been caught stealing something. He said nothing, just stood there, his hands at his sides, expression calm. Too calm. I nodded at my boss, followed him without another word. But just before I stepped into the elevator, I looked back. Amadu hadn't moved. He was staring at me. And as the doors closed between us, I saw him mouth the words, "This isn't over." Now that you enjoyed this story, make sure you share this video to your friends and story lovers and click on the subscribe button to subscribe to our channel for more true and real stories like this.